Hi and welcome to my Boo Wake Up series. I'm Louise Langley and today with me is Terry Emery. For those of you who don't know what this is all about, I'm writing regularly for High Spirit magazine now, a series called Boo Wake Up, and it's actually based around my experience since I actually had an enormous and quite extraordinary moment that changed my life in Dublin about 4 years ago now. Since that point, when I decided to follow my heart entirely and my intuition, I started to meet the most extraordinary people that were helping me unfold and explore so much. That has led me to where I am now, actually, which is in the middle of this magical journey called life. And I really have set this up so that I can share some of this with you. So I really want to introduce you now to Terry. And Terry specialises in past life regression. And we met very early on in my journey, actually, when I first started to experience something that I couldn't quite place, which was like remembrances from another time, another place. And in that moment I met Terry, and Terry then started to put so much in context for me and help me in the most extraordinary way. So I've asked Terry to come and have a cup of tea with me today, or rather I'm in her house having a cup of tea with her, just so we can share some of this with you. So Terry, can I first start by asking you, maybe you could explain a little about what past life regression actually is?
Well, the brain is divided between the conscious and the subconscious, and the conscious part of your brain is actually only 10% of everything you are and what you know. 90% scientists don't understand, but in that 90% is the memory of every life we've ever lived and every life we will live.
Very powerful.
Very, very powerful. Therefore, any experience you've had in a past life that maybe has been unresolved will be calling in your subconscious, and it will be knocking on the door of your conscience. So, for instance, if you're born with a fear of heights, as you were,
yes,
it's a past life. It's an incident from a past life that probably died in trauma. That's the most common thing.
I have to say at this point, I had unexpectedly a cure of a lifetime's fear of heights just from one session with Terry, and we didn't even expect it to come up, did we, Terry?
Well, we weren't looking for it specifically.
No.
It's just that the way I work, the soul or the subconscious brain decides what's most beneficial for you that day and what you'll gain most from. So on that day it decided that your fear of heights was actually holding you back from something. So that will be the same for most people. People could have a fear of anything that there's no rational explanation for. Nothing's happened in this lifetime that they're aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore it has to be past life.
Yeah. So could you elaborate a little bit more on the kinds of things that people would actually maybe have a sense of within their own lifetime that you know that past life could potentially really help them with?
Yes, it would be fear of heights, fear of rats, of snakes, of spiders, maybe even relationships. Sometimes we find that people affect us in a great way. We either love them instantly, hate them instantly, all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And yet there's no logical explanation. You can go to a place, as I did once in Galway, and I knew where every road went, and yet I'd never been there before in this lifetime, but I instantly knew I'd been there in a previous life.
And it's quite amazing, isn't it? I know from our sessions anyway, that when you go back and you realise what somebody you've met now means to you from another lifetime that you're experiencing, how that can instantly remove so many things that you would maybe perceive as blockages, and it just changes your whole way of being with that person altogether, doesn't
Yes, it does. It just clears you. We all have so many blockages within us that we can't explain, and working your way through, especially stuck past lives. When people die traumatically, often they can stay earthbound for hundreds of years, and because we know time isn't real outside of sort of this lifetime,
Yeah.
you know, it's like their calling, their soul wants them back in the light. And so on a conscious level, you know, they have this niggly feeling, you know, why does that affect me?
Yeah.
And they come and do a regression, and up it pops. And that lifetime goes back, or we clear the blockage, and it just allows the person to be more themselves in this lifetime.
And isn't it the case that sometimes, because I know this has happened with us, that we've set out believing that maybe you might clear one blockage, and suddenly many, many, many things happen in that session,
Oh, yes.
and you feel... Personally, I've walked away feeling so much lighter, feeling like 1 trillion lifetimes have just been removed, and I feel quite amazing.
It's fascinating. You just never know. Every person is different, of course.
And what, sorry to interrupt you, Terry, I was just thinking that I think it would be really useful for the people watching to know what actually led you to be so inspired and so driven to explore this.
Well, when I was a child, I could always astral project. I was born being able to astral project. And at night, when I went to bed, I could instantly go back to a past life, through the death sequence, and then back to the light where we live when we're not actually in a body.
Wow.
And I just thought it's the only reason you went to bed. I thought everybody did it. But then I also found that certain things would set me off. I saw an old whitewashed barn once, very old. It was hundreds of years old, very small, and it had the St. George's flag flying. And my instant thought was, I didn't know they sent us on to the Crusades. And I remembered in that lifetime that every family who sent a son to the Crusades flew the St. George's flag in their honour.
Oh.
And they took it down when that son returned. It's just odd things that as I've gone through life have just triggered a memory from a different lifetime.
And you've spent a lot of time actually researching the most effective techniques to support people through this process, haven't you?
I started off, I've always been clairvoyant, and I started seeing angels, I suppose now 15, 20 years ago, and I worked as a healer, and these angels would come into the room and then start giving healing through me. Then I started seeing people in different lifetimes, and the reason they'd need the healing for that past life would come up. Spirit were then quite keen for me to train as a hypnotherapist, in order that the people could go through these experiences themselves. It's easy for me to say, oh, I saw this, I saw that, why should they believe me? Or why shouldn't they? But on the other hand, if I could take you back and you experience the whole thing yourself, relive that life, see the pros and cons and what you learned, it's so exciting for the client to actually go there.
Oh, it certainly is. I can vouch for that. And in fact, the sessions that I personally have had with Terry have been incredible. I mean, apart from, as we said earlier, curing a lifetime's fear of heights, we've uncovered the most extraordinary information which is not documented anywhere, and yet evidence keeps showing up to show that it's true, around burial grounds and people's lifetimes are very famous that I'd never even... In fact, I did a regression with Terry, I've never even heard of Nefertiti, and Nefertiti came up. So we've had all sorts of interesting things. But Terry, how would anyone watching who wants to get hold of you and explore this with you, how could they contact you?
Well, I'm on email. My name is Cherry Emery. My website is Emery Esoterics, co.uk.
Maybe you could you spell that for them?
EMERYESOTERICS.co.uk, or just send me an email, cherry@emeryesoterics.co.uk.
And Cherry is CHERRY.
Why, yes, or just throw Cherry Emery into Google and I come up as Cherry was born psychic with the ability to astral project.
And you may find her in many lifetimes popping up in Google. And you pick which one.
Different names in every lifetime.
Thank you so much, Terry.
Thank you.
Thank you.